Hey friends, and welcome to my art studio. I guess you might be wondering why I have black paint all over my fingers. Well, that's because I bought a new spinny and I spray painted it black. So today we're going to take this book that I found at the thrift store, Goodwill, for exactly $1.99. I found this and I was like, oh yeah, I can definitely make this cute. It's a little weird. It's got a grape on it. It's not the cutest aesthetic ever, but I think we can make it cute. So the first thing I'm doing is just taking a Clorox wipe and just wiping it down in all of the crevices, the inside, the outside, all everywhere. I'm covering all of the surfaces and just wiping it down. It's got dust, it's got grime, it's kind of gross. It came from Goodwill, you know how it can be. And then I'm just taking a rag and drying off that situation. And ta-da, it's clean. Taking out my paint palette and a light blue, like eggshell color. And then like a darker eggshell color. And also some white. Come on, come out. Come on, come on. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the first coat of eggshell. I'm just covering all of it. I wanted the background and like, what the heck, my paintbrush is like falling apart. The base color of this to just kind of ombre from the light to the dark of the blue. And that's basically what I do all the way around. I just light blue to dark blue, light blue to dark blue. But it's kind of all light blue, isn't it? And I had to let that dry. And this is me testing if it's dry or not by just like slamming my hand on it. What the heck am I doing? And then I just go in for a second coat, and then later on I go in for a third coat, but I didn't do that on camera because it was just getting a little excessive. And then I decided that I wanted the pages of the book to just be plain stark white. And so I paint all of the pages white, trying to avoid getting white paint on the blue part, which didn't really work out, if you can see. I wasn't quite sure what to do to the inside of this. I didn't know if I wanted to paint it white or not, but I just like went for it and just started painting, and I'm happy that I did because it really just brought it to life. The lid of this was actually like a leather material, and so I didn't know if the paint was going to stick to it, but I mean, I painted it white anyways just to see. It did pretty decent. It seems to be sticking. And then I took the blue colors and just went around the edges of the inside just to like, clean up the mistakes that I had made previously. And just bring that blue color all the way around. And now it's time for the best part ever, sketching. What are we going to put on this book? I decided that I wanted to draw whales. That's right, you heard me right, whales. I love whales, they're my favorite animal, and I just am obsessed with them. So what's better to put on this book than whales? So I just took my pencil and just started sketching out this design. I was doing it kind of off the top of my head. I didn't really think that hard about exactly where I wanted to place the whales or anything like that beforehand. I kind of just like jumped in, and I had to redraw this. Like, what is that? I had to redraw the shape of this whale a couple times because, like, cartoon whales normally have, like, really skinny tails and then they just get really big. And it kind of looked like a snake for a second there. But the more I reworked it and redrew it, the more it looked normal. Also, have you ever realized that cartoon whales have like an overbite? It's kind of adorable. And I mean, just look at that face. He's so adorable. And let's not forget the fin. This is so cute. I think if you colored it differently, it could be a fish, but it's not. It's a whale. It's not a fish. It's a whale. And so I just keep reshaping his body until I get it perfectly right. And I fall in love with him. I'm in love with this whale. Look how freaking cute he is. He's so cute. He's so cute. He's so cute. I love him. And then I was like, oh, the spine needs a tail on it. And I thought it would be really cool if I like made a whale where its tail was on the spine and then it just like carried on to the back of the book. So that's what I did. I just made the tail like the very middle of the spine, and then I carried the whale to the back of the book. And since I kind of got the shape down from the front, it wasn't as like difficult and hard. I didn't have to like situate it that many times. I just had to make sure that, you know, like it flowed good with the spine, which I think that it does. I think that it looks really cute. How many times have I said cute this video so far? And then he just looked so lonely by himself on the back, so I was like, he needs a whale best friend. And so I drew him a whale best friend. Make sure you get that overbite in there. And then I was like, oh wait, there's more. The inside of this book, I completely forgot. And I had no idea what to draw on the inside of this. Like, I went back and forth with ideas for a second, and then I was like, you know what? Whales. More whales. That's what we need. So I drew a different kind of whale this time. I'm pretty sure this is called an orca whale. I'm pretty sure. So I decided to just draw a different type of whale on the inside of this, and I just thought it could just be a different design. And so after I sketched everything out, I was like, let's paint. And so I did this pink, this like navy blue, and I tried to get more white out, but this white just doesn't want to come out of the bottle. Oh, there we go. So I didn't really want the pink to be that dark. I wanted to mix it together to make a lighter pink. And so I just mixing, and we're mixing, and we're mixing, and we're mixing until we can get a more like pastel-y coral color. Pastel-y coral, is that a color? You know what I'm talking about. Just the lighter pink is what I was going for. Before I started actually painting the whales, I decided to just erase the harsh pencil lines because I did go pretty hard with the pencil. So I just go around and erase all of the lines, front, back, all around, inside, and just make all of the lines really, really light so that whenever I paint, you can't see it through the paint and I don't have to do a bunch of layers. And then you just dust that eraser right on off and we start painting. So my idea for this, my first idea, there are more ideas that come after this, but my first idea was to just outline a really nice sketch with the dark blue and let the whale be the color of the background. That was my idea. So that's what I started with, and then I was like, you know what goes good with whales? My next favorite thing, clouds. So I started to paint clouds with the whales, and I started on the back just in case it was really bad. At least it was on the back, or we could cover it up by like just laying the box on the bottom and like you just wouldn't see it. I don't know. I just thought it was best case scenario to start with clouds on the back. So basically with the clouds, you just have to keep layering it and layering it. Like I started with the like lighter pink color and then added some white and then added some dark pink and then added some white and then added some regular color, and just over and over and over again. You just have to keep playing with it until it looks like a cloud. And then I was like, oh, let's just put like a lot of clouds. So I started layering the clouds, which was a lot of fun. Like this was the time I was having the time of my life making these clouds. But I was having kind of a hard time making that cloud look like it was in the background and making them look like they were in front of and behind each other and not just like one giant cloud. And I didn't want it to look like one giant cloud. So I kind of kept having to play around with like the coloring and stuff, but it's okay because I was having a lot of fun while I was doing it. So since it was in the background, I just needed that background cloud to be a little bit darker than the front cloud, but then I just kept adding white to it, so it kept bringing it back to the front, and so we basically just went in a circle over and over and over again of making it too dark, making it too light, making it too dark, making it too light, which is really ridiculous. But eventually, I finally figured it out and was happy with it enough to start more clouds. So I added more clouds to the top, and I'm starting to realize now that maybe clouds don't necessarily make sense. Like, are they swimming in the sky? Like, what's going on? And all I have to say is, like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just cute. As long as it's cute, it's all that matters. So I did eventually go back down to those bottom clouds because they were just not making me happy. I wanted them to look a certain way and I couldn't. But eventually I just stopped messing with them and move on. Add more clouds to the top, and voila. We have lots of clouds, and the more I mess with them, the more I like them. So honestly, I just did so many layers. Then I added some bubbles, and my next idea for the whales was to just kind of like, after the clouds were in there, the whales kind of like didn't stand out as much. So I thought that if I added this white to their bellies and like added some details to them, that it would kind of just even them out a little bit. So I colored the bottoms white, and then I took the blue and made some stripes and some dots and just added some like texture. And oh my gosh, I forgot to give this whale an arm. He has just been armless this whole time, finless if you will, and I didn't even realize it. Did you realize it? Have you been staring at it this entire time? Because I didn't even realize it. Poor whale. I'm so sorry. Thankfully we could fix that and give him the fin that he deserves. But basically, I got off track there because it was devastating to see this whale without a fin. I just added a bunch of details to their bellies with like lines and dots and hoping that it would like pull them forward. And then I started adding clouds to the spine, which they look so cute. I love the spine with the tail and the little peep of the tail at the top, and then the giant tail, and then the clouds, and it just makes me so happy. Like, I am falling in love with this design so much because two of my favorite things on this book is just, it's just so aesthetically pleasing to me, and making clouds is so much fun. So I actually lost the footage of the clouds on the front, and I have no idea where it went. The more that I look at the whales and the clouds, the more I realized that the whales were really just like being sent to the back of the picture and they weren't really standing out enough. And so the more I looked at the whales on the back and the whales on the front, the more I decided that they just needed to be a little bit more bold. So I decided to take that navy-ish blue color and just fill the whole whale in. I just color the whale in all the way, avoiding the face completely, like not wanting to mess it up because his face was so cute before, and I was scared that if I painted over his beautiful little mouth and his eyes that they would be lost forever and I'd never be able to paint them the same. But eventually I was just like, I have to do it, there's no way around it. So I just painted over his beautiful face that I was in love with, and I kept going around the lines to make sure they were like crisp around the cloud. And then I just colored in the rest of the whales the same. I colored them all the way in navy blue. And I really like the way that this contrasted with the background and the cloud. So it was a good decision. And then I just used the white to like make the facial expressions and like give them a little bit more details. So with the eyes and the mouth, I just did white. And I hated that eyeball because it looked like he had an eyelash and it just like, it wasn't cute. So I ended up just painting over it and letting it dry. And then I decided that the white stood out so much that I needed like a lighter blue to play around with. And so I made like a couple shades lighter blue to make like the fin and stuff. If I would have done that white, I think it would have stood out a little bit too much. So then I went a little bit of a shader lighter and just made some details on the fins and on his back and on the tail. And I think that these little details really just set it apart and made it so much cuter. Like, I was already in love with it and had hard eyes for this thing, but the finishing touches really just brought it all together to me, and I loved it. At first I was gonna put the stripes on the belly, but then I realized that it was getting a little too busy with like the cloud and then too many details on the whale. So I actually decided not to do the stripes on the belly. I erased the ones on him and just kept the little dots and no stripes and just kept them pretty solid. And I think that this was the right decision, because the more details I would have put, it would have just been way too busy. So I think that I did make the right decision there by just taking those stripes off. And then I just filled in everything. I just went around and made sure all of the whales were filled in all of the way and all the lines were super crisp, because this dark color against the light colors, you'd really be able to tell if my lines weren't straight. So I just made sure that I went around and made all those lines super crisp and added all the cute little details to them. One last attempt at making this eyeball, and I finally got it right. It doesn't look exactly like the face was from the beginning, but it's close enough where I'm still in love with him and it's okay. I went over it a couple times, so many times, and then I got the navy blue and went over it because I just really wanted it to be perfect and look exactly like it did before. But then I just had to realize that it was never going to be exactly like it was before, but I think I got it pretty close. And so we basically just threw the other design and idea for the whales right out the window and painted right over those two, because I really did like the solid color a lot more. I think that it stood out better, and it was just better. It was better. So I just carried the same design from the front to the back, making sure that their fins and their faces and all of that kind of just matched. Making the faces was so nerve-wracking because I wanted them to be perfect. And then I outlined some details like their fins and stuff just to bring them a little forward. And I only gave the whales on the back bubbles, but that's okay. And oh yeah, I keep forgetting that there's a design on the inside that I have to paint. Like, I just keep forgetting about it. So this whale, I just couldn't decide what to do. It was just so white. And like, these whales are normally just black and white, but like, that's boring and I don't want it to just be black and white. So I decided to do pink. Like, I was like, pink and white sounds like a great idea. So I just went in for it. Like, at the very last minute, remembered that there was a whale on the inside that I needed to paint, and I was like, oh, pink, and just went in for it. Didn't think about it that hard. And I'm honestly not in love with this whale. It's definitely not as cute as the ones on the outside. I think that like when it was just pink and white, it was pretty cute, but then I had to go and add this lighter pink color instead of white, and I don't know, it just kind of like took away from it. And I don't know, I just don't love it. I'm not as in love with it as I was before, and I'm definitely not as in love with this whale as I am on the ones in the front of it. I'm so sorry to say that to you, but it's how I feel. And I took the navy blue and just outlined all of it, and I don't know if this made it better or worse. I really don't know. By the time I realized that it really wasn't as cute as I wanted it to be and that I didn't like it, I was already in so deep that I just decided to keep them anyways. So I just gave him some bubbles and I called it a day. So this is the final product. This is before and this is after. This is the final product of the book. I am in love with it. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. I think that it's so cute, and it's definitely an upgrade from the grapes we had before. Even though I'm not obsessed with the whale that I have on the inside, I still think that it's cuter than it was before. It's definitely a great addition to the art studio. I'm definitely gonna store some art supplies in it. That's gonna be it for this video. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss the next one. I post videos every single Saturday and sometimes on Thursdays. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next craft. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!